What is up, Dallas Cowboys fans? Welcome into another Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz podcast right here on FanStream Sports. Welcome into the program. Welcome into the show. How you feeling, Cowboys fans? That was kind of fun, wasn't it? I feel like it's been a while since we had a game with that kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say emotion because all the Cowboys games are emotional these days. I don't know what it was. There was something to this game, aside from the whole Thanksgiving thing. Maybe it's the 2-game winning streak the Cowboys were on coming into this. Maybe it's the way the Chiefs have struggled this season. Although they've been on a bit of a tear recently, there was just some kind of feeling going into this game. Like you felt you were going to get the Cowboys' best effort versus the Chiefs' best effort. And it was going to be one of those things that it was kind of maybe the team with the ball last wins. And you pretty much had that by all accounts. You had both quarterbacks playing at a super high level. You had the Cowboys' biggest players coming up at the biggest moments. And in the very end, you have a Dallas Cowboys 31-28 Thanksgiving Day afternoon win over the Chiefs. And, you know, it wasn't just the Cowboys surviving Patrick Mahomes. The Cowboys punched back with every possession. They're 6-5-1. Those playoff rumblings keep getting louder and louder. I kind of feel like we need to tamp that excitement down just a little bit because that is a long, long road ahead. But you know what? Let's get excited about the win. Let's pump our collective Cowboys fists. Go fist your friend for the Cowboys. Might have come out the wrong way. But look, once again, though, we have issues. I don't want to be Debbie Downer on this thing because it was a great win. We'll start with that. But it didn't start pretty. The Cowboys won the coin toss. Or Kansas City won the coin toss. They deferred, and then they get the break that every road team wants to start a game. A Dak Prescott interception. Gift wrapped for Jalen Watson. And it took just 2 plays for Mahomes to find the end zone. And the Cowboys find themselves in an all-too-familiar spot down early on in a game where you had the ball first and you were driving. Well, I mean, it was 2 plays into the game, so I don't know, you weren't even driving really. But you could have been driving, and these slow starts, they're at some point you can't catch up. You can't keep putting your defense in that situation, especially this defense. And it's something that eventually is going to come back and bite you, and it does come back and bite the Cowboys. We saw it with Chicago. We've seen it numerous times in losses this season when the Cowboys have a slow start, whether it's turnovers or they just can't get in the end zone. That has got to get cleaned up. However, Brian Schottenheimer can do that. You've got to clean that up. But the good news is, after that slow start, as the Cowboys stumbled out of the gate once again, the team woke up, Prescott woke up, the defense showed up. And, man, how great are those trade acquisitions looking right now? And, look, not just Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson at the trade deadline. Those are looking massive. And Logan Wilson was good once again today. A lot of people are focusing on Quinnen Williams because, you know what, his game, his numbers, his stats are a little more measurable, I think. And rightfully so. Focus on the Quinnen Williams acquisition. But you know what, Logan Wilson, it's a little bit harder to quantify his effect on the game unless you're watching him, which I did a great deal of tonight. And he has been massive in coverage. He's been good when asked to be in run defense. He's not always asked to sneak up to the line. But both of those guys have been great. But look, don't overlook the signing earlier in the season because this is now starting to gel a little bit. And it has been for a couple of weeks. But Jadeveon Clowney having a massive impact on this game and a massive impact on the Cowboys season defensively now that the entire unit has started to gel. Matt Eberflus looks like an entirely different defensive coordinator. And I guess, look what you can do when you've got good players on your roster. When you got guys who know what they're doing and know how to play the game, it's amazing what your scheme can, how much better your scheme can look. And look, they have changed schemes, make no mistake, since earlier in the season. They have made several adjustments. But credit Matt Eberflus. And look, you allowed 28 points today. I'm not saying this is a unstoppable defense, but you showed up when you had to. You won the game. But giving up 28 points, I think, to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in what boils down to a primetime game, the only game on. I'm not going to bark about that. You won the game. The Cowboys ripped off 17 first half points, took a 17-14 lead into the locker room, and from there it was kind of a track meet. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, they took over. The Chiefs never really found an answer for either one. Lamb finished with 7 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. He was constantly winning his battles underneath and over the top. Pickens added 6 catches for 88 yards plus a 2-point conversion. And they just bullied the Kansas City secondary, even in the biggest moments. On the game-sealing drive, both of them came up huge. They reminded everybody how dangerous this offense can be when both of them are clicking. And showed everybody why Jerry Jones must retain George Pickens, however that has to be done, whether it's the 31-point-some-odd $million franchise tag. I think that's what the number was. I could be wrong. I've read a lot of numbers recently, but I think it was right around there. Or whatever you have to do. But you've got to keep this dude. And you know what? At the start of the season, when he was acquired, I never would have thought I would hear myself say that because I'm not a George Pickens fan. I covered him in Pittsburgh, where he was basically a miserable prima donna human being, and I wanted no part of him. But if this is the George Pickens we're going to get, man, I'm all for it. He's kept his nose clean so far. I think eventually, either way, you're still going to get a little bit of that George Pickens down the road, but if he keeps putting up numbers like this, all right, I'll take it. Nothing wrong with that. But, as wild as the offensive fireworks were, this game quietly said a lot about the Cowboys' defense. Mahomes walked him down in 2 plays following that early interception. Everything could have unraveled for the defense. But instead, Dallas settled in. They kept getting off the field. They pressured Mahomes all night long. And it forced the Chiefs' offense to do something they haven't had to do a lot of this season, and that's grind. They had to grind for everything in this game. All 28 points. Well, except for the first touchdown, probably. Coming off of a dominating second-half shutdown of the Eagles last week, a dominating defensive performance against the Raiders, now you see this isn't a fluke. This is what this Cowboys defense is now, and it is completely refreshing to see. Jadeveon Clowney, as I mentioned, that effort sack. Jadeveon Clowney's sack, if you count, he chased Patrick Mahomes for more than 11 seconds of clock time. 11 seconds of chasing Mahomes around before you finally got the sack. Just amazing. I love that version of Jadeveon Clowney. Look, and then there was the play that I thought defined the entire night. George Pickens' fourth quarter fumble with Dallas up 7 and on the verge of putting the game away. 3 Chiefs defenders were right there, really 4, were right there within 4 yards of the ball. And then from out of nowhere, KaVontae Turpin flies in like a superhero, and dives on the ball. A potentially game-saving recovery. And look, that play won't show up on a highlight reel like a deep pass or a pick six, but that play right there probably swung the game. It's called hustle, and they mentioned it on the broadcast. You do that in practice. He wasn't involved in the play, Turpin, but he was running to the ball. Good things happen when you run to the ball. Game-saving play, potentially. And this Cowboys team, offensively and defensively, is now full of hustle. And that is something I didn't see early in the season. But, man, that is such a good indication of coaching, how this team's being coached, the mental attitude of these guys, the football awareness of these guys. I know I'm throwing all the cliches out because I think it's real. I think it matters. But, look, the Cowboys still have flaws. The slow starts are real. The record is still a grind. But beating Mahomes on a national stage, I thought on Thursday, with Lamb and Pickens looking like video game cheat codes, and then add the defense that looks like they finally know what they're doing. Went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs today on Thursday. It just changes the temperature of this team and how the fans feel, at least for me, how I feel about the team. Do they have a shot the rest of the way? This team could win out. I don't know that I would have said that before this performance. Or if I would have, the percentage that I will give them to win out probably went up after this game. Not because they just won another game, but because of how they won the game. I'm not scared of the Lions, which is really probably going to be your biggest test the rest of the way. And look, Dallas looked like an actual contender. Now, your record and your slow start to the season may show otherwise. But I thought tonight, Thursday night, against the Chiefs at home, they gave the Cowboys fans something to cheer for, and they gave the Cowboys fans something maybe we haven't had in a while, and that is hope. Hope of good things coming. Again, appreciate everybody popping in here tonight. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Cowboys-Chiefs, how that will affect the rest of the season, your prognosis for the rest of the season, your thoughts on retaining CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. Why or why not? And if so, who do you think the number one wide receiver is? Does that even matter? I mean, I'll tell you who I think number one's George Pickens right now, if you have to say one. I don't like the 1A and 1B. It's 1 and a 2. Give me George Pickens as the number one right now. And it ain't close. But does it matter? It doesn't matter. At IndyCar Tim across all of social media. If you're watching the video right here on the FanStream Sports YouTube channel or the Fish Report YouTube channel, leave us a great comment. Love to talk to you about the game, what your thoughts are. And again, how are we doing the rest of the way? Star up, star down. We'll throw all of those cliches out there at you. We will get back at it after Thanksgiving, boys and girls, to talk about the rest of the season and how the Cowboys are trending up. Until then, boys and girls, we'll see you.